My name's Jay, and my presentation, picture is worth 1,000 words. I believe that displaying pictures of dead fetuses in public is wrong. To be clear about this, I'm not talking about whether abortion is right or wrong, or when life began or when it didn't. And to be more clear, something like this, I think is a really appropriate sign for demonstrating what you think. And I want to tell you a story about the time where I saw a sign that I didn't like, and I thought crossed the line. So I'm cruising to school and listening to the radio, and it's 2011. And I'm hearing about Egypt, and I'm listening to the events that are unfolding. We're talking hundreds of millions of people. They're getting together, and they're protesting peacefully, and they're not crossing the line. So I get to the stoplight, and thinking about this, and I look to my right, and I see something that no one wants to see, and it's a picture of a real dead fetus. And I start thinking to myself, excuse me, how does this affect me? Like, I can't have an abortion, I'm a guy, right? But then, also I have a son. His name's Maddox. He's 2.5, oh, excuse me, skip a spot. His name's Maddox. Shut up, my son.
I'm so sorry.
So, my son is 2.5. How is this going to affect him when he gets older? So, I'll go on that later and give you a preview of what I'm going to talk about. First, I see dead people, and it's contradicting its title from the movie Sixth Sense, but it's how different people will react to something so simple. The second one, rules of society, certain rules we put together to protect ourselves, and then third we'll go, oh, excuse me, jump the gun. All right, so a different approach, a more effective way that I would go about doing things, and then fourth is drastic measures, and that's sort of seeing the other side of the coin of things. So, I see dead people. Started thinking about my son. He gets a little bit older, he's walking down the street, right? And he crosses some people that have some pictures of dead fetuses. And I think about how he would react. And then I think about how I would react to his reaction, right? And so at first it's like, well, I'd be thinking about how to explain the birds and the bees, and now I have an uninvited conversation about why people kill their babies and display those pictures in public. And then I thought about, what about driving down the street? So I'm driving down the street, trying to cover his eyes, really impossible, right? I've never seen any pictures that say, warning, there's some signs. I found one on the internet, but it's just not a common practice. This is an example. I got this off this website, CBC Canada. A few months ago, someone put up this huge sign, graphic stuff, and a wreck happened. And you would think 75 miles an hour, maybe you don't want to distract anybody, but some of the minuses that I've seen. This next clip is a father who reacts to some protesters as he's going to the abortion clinic with his wife, and the video kind of explains itself. Oh.
His wife was 4 months pregnant.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know, right?
His wife was 4 months pregnant with a baby that was diagnosed with mermaid syndrome, and that's when the baby's 2 feet are fused together. Okay, the baby also did not have kidneys or a bladder.
Excuse me. I'm wondering what it is you're actually hoping to accomplish here. Not invisible. Well, I'll tell you what, I just walked in with my wife. We were trying to have another kid, and you know what? 1 in 100,000 fatal demise, a congenital deformity. So you're yelling at my wife for doing nothing more than having a nearly dead baby inside her, and that's what you're gonna do? Oh, that's not what you're here for? It's what you just did. You're sorry? You think maybe you want to ask for more? You're just yelling at random people, and you have no idea what you're doing to them. And you know what? It's despicable. It is despicable. Come to what place? Because of people like you, no one wants to perform these anymore. Because you make people who are already upset on the worst day of their lives feel even worse. So there's really not a whole lot of places to go anymore. My wife should be cared for in a hospital. She was cared for in a hospital. This is affiliated with a hospital. Well, guess what? There is a time-sensitive nature on this, and I don't want her delivering a stillborn baby, which is what would happen if we waited anymore.
It's a little harsh, but it's not, dead baby. So, this is off the TYT network. You can get on YouTube. There's a longer extended version if you're interested. The idea behind what I'm trying to get at is that there's so many different people that have so many different reactions to something like this. someone like myself who can't have an abortion, or someone who's been raped, or subject to incest, or in this situation where they're going through a really traumatic issue, being affected by that stuff. And not to mention the trauma in the future when they see something like that after going through something like this. So let's move on to the rules of society, talk about the elephant in the room, freedom of speech. Now if we limit freedom of speech, pretty much ruin it altogether. However, in our society, we censor a lot of different things. Radio, when I used to buy CDs, if I go to a theater, I'm not going to see a rated R movie, no one under 18 is going to be there. Also TV, public TV. So I'm wondering, why is it when I go up to a stop sign that I'm being shown a picture of something I can't watch on public television? A picture of an aborted fetus, right? Oh, I guess that was off. Excuse me. Picture of aborted fetus. The idea is that for some reason we made an exception to this rule and we've allowed it in our society. So I want to talk about a different approach. My idea is this: if my friends, we all get together and we find our favorite pictures of people having sex, graphic pictures with condoms, and then we go to Kinko's and we supersize these pictures, and then we have ourselves a workshop, and where we take the pictures, we put them on some picket things, pieces of wood, and then we head down to, well, this is a Lego city, but like a real city, where people are having a protest showing graphic signs. Now, what I want you to picture is this, is that as we're looking at them, they're showing pictures of something that nobody wants to look at, something that's disturbing, causing some people distress, while we're showing pictures of people having sex, something that people want to look at. And we're actually demonstrating a solution to prevent abortions, because the leading cause to abortions is pregnancy. So, and then what happens after that? Think about it. More than likely, I'd probably get a ticket, or a cop would come remove me, or I'd possibly get put in jail, depending on where I'm at. And so you see the contradiction here, and kind of what I'm getting at gives light to why I brought this up. So when I talk to people like my mom, quote unquote, she was like in drastic times called for drastic measures, and I don't really understand the logic behind it. It's always backed up with this sort of like, we're speaking for people who can't speak for themselves. But what I think happens when using this particular method of demonstration is that it's crossing the line, and in turn also creating a shock value that takes away from their true message. The idea ultimately is there's many different people with many different reactions to stuff like this. And I've seen signs like this where I'm like, that's pretty awesome. I think everyone can agree it's positive and it still says the same message. This is another example. This is Save the Humans. This one it's a university football game, and these guys are kind of hating on things, and this guy, worst tailgate party ever. This is a sign I thought was kind of cool. Things that lower abortion rates, contraceptives, free child care, and then there's an X on standing outside of the clinic being rude. So let's review. Talked about different people's perspectives, and then also the rules of society that protect us. Excuse me. All right, using a different approach that might be more effective, and talk about the other side of the coin. Once again, I believe that displaying pictures of aborted fetuses is wrong. I think that if people in Egypt can get together and do something cool like that and peacefully, that we can do the same thing. We can learn from that. Something like this. So, thanks for listening to my speech.